John, Elon, they will share with us their views on the future. Both are industrial leaders committed to foster innovation, supporting change with trust for the power of technology in helping us to solve problems and achieve progress. But before we start, please take note on the side of the code number that you can type on the slide to send us questions to our extraordinary and unique guest. Uh, let's start from a personal note from John. John, how and when did you meet with Elon?
We met in Italy, in Sicily in 2014 after the World Cup, and we had immediately a very interesting conversation that we carried forward over the years, and the themes were artificial intelligence, human machine interfaces, the future of our species in a multi-planet system. And what's been really good over the years is to see how that conversation and what we had discussed then ended up in actual real activities. After that, OpenAI was started, Neuralink was started, and many other projects and ventures that Elon has achieved since.
And Elon, what memories do you have of your conversation with John?
Well, it's similar. Talking about those subjects, and I just that John was a great person and quite insightful. But yes, at that point, we were really,
Think about roots. There are similarities between Elon Musk and John Elkann. Both grew up in developing countries, in South Africa and Brazil. Both have one brother and one sister. Strong affection for grandfather. Both are engineering minded. Elon, what is the source of your inspiration?
the source of my inspiration, I'd say, is somewhat philosophical. So I think that the thing we should be aiming for is increasing the scope and scale of human civilization, so as to best ask the right questions for the answer, which is reality, or the
without without having to emit CO2. And no doubt, I agree with Elon that nuclear is a solution that exists. It's one that we know. It's one that is secure, and one that we should absolutely also what we should do. As in parallel, we do work very strongly on renewable, and I think without without having to emit CO2. And
so quite good.
I agree with Elon.
Transaction cost is high, and usability for the average person is not yet very good, but it has a lot of potential. And I should say that, like, I'm not. I apologize for taking a long time, but there's certainly lots to say. In general, I'm a supporter of Bitcoin and the idea of Bitcoin in general. But as I've said publicly, we do need to watch out for crypto taking, especially Bitcoin, using proof of work to maybe use energy that's maybe a bit too much and not necessarily good for the environment. So, but on balance, I support Bitcoin, and I'm not an investor. The only publicly traded stock I own is Tesla. The significant thing I own outside of Tesla is my SpaceX stock that help create both companies. So, but apart from that, I do own Bitcoin, and Tesla owns Bitcoin, SpaceX owns Bitcoin, and I do personally own a bit of Ethereum and Dogecoin, of course. So.
Okay, great, thank you. And we'll get into some of those issues in more depth as well. Elon, I'm curious your opinion on this. You mentioned earlier about Bitcoin's throughput, or the importance of throughput, maybe some concerns around Bitcoin. Can you speak? Do you think Bitcoin can become peer-to-peer cash?
Well, Bitcoin does have a fundamental scarcity limit at the base layer that's designed in. That doesn't mean you can't have some layer 2 system in theory like Lightning. I understand Lightning is doing well in some small countries. There's some question mark as to whether you need a money transmitter license. Just a debate as to whether that's needed, given that it is not open ledger. So that's a whole separate debate, of course. But Bitcoin by itself simply cannot scale to be the monetary system for the world at base layer. But with a second layer, this is possible depending upon how that layer is implemented. Yeah, that's part of why I think there may be some merit to something that may seem silly, like Ethereum, like Dogecoin. I think Ethereum, the three things that are going outside of Tesla, and of course Neuralink, the right company, but of any significance are Bitcoin by far, and then some Ethereum and some Doge. But if the price of Bitcoin goes down, I lose money. I'm not sort of, I might pump, but I don't dump. So, it's not a case of. I definitely do not believe in getting the price high and selling or anything like that. And I would like to see Bitcoin succeed. I think there's some merit to. There's not a slam on Bitcoin. There's some merit to consider considering something that has higher max transaction rates and lower transaction cost, and kind of seeing how far you could take a single layer network where the exchanges act as a de facto second layer, playing a role in this. And I think long term, people will probably have access to worldwide access to gigabit level connectivity at low latency, and so at low cost. And so then your base layer could do a lot of transactions if you take that into account. So yeah, but like I said, Bitcoin with a layer 2 system, so they could scale to do a vast number of transactions. Same goes for Ethereum.
Question about the scaling at the layer 1. The concern from the past 5 years in the Bitcoin community is that would sacrifice too much decentralization and hurt the censorship resistant properties of Bitcoin. I'm curious if what are your thoughts on that? Are you sensitive to that? Are you concerned about losing some of the special properties of Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency by scaling at?
Why don't you scale it down? Have it be, so that somebody, with a laptop from 2008 can still run a Bitcoin node. Why not slow it down? Oh, you want to slow it down? Well, maybe